Okay, no. That's kidding.
We're gonna get ready to start the lecture. If so don't run over here. Just walk carefully.
You don't need to wave it in mask here, wave it again with your roll.
I'm gonna keep it there in case people get close, and then I'm gonna put it up.
So I don't think the mic is turned on.
You said don't follow. So
Yeah, now I can tell. Is anyone else coming over? Okay. Okay. So let me just ask everybody, what's your thoughts about falling?
don't want to do it.
Oh, Rob. Exactly. And this is a very timely. What's that?
Unless it's falling in love.
Oh, who said that? Who said that? You said that? I love that. This is very timely for me because as I was on my front porch putting up Halloween decorations, I pulled out a folding chair and I'm stretching really high to try to get this thing up on a hook. And, you know, there's so many things wrong with this story. And as I'm stretching, there's not a railing on this porch. There's just a hedge. I can feel myself falling. And I know just from this, you know, don't try to brace myself. So I did kind of roll, but I'm thinking as I'm falling, because I know I was going to fall into my hedge, is I hope I'm not impaled. And I hope my husband can hear me falling because he was inside. And it was a very soft hedge. And it was only my pride that was hurt. And the hedge, because now it's kind of a little flat. But I was very lucky. And it was so stupid.
Yeah.
But isn't that usually what we say after we fall? Like, that is so stupid. Bless you. So stupid. So I wanted to talk about falls. Linda and I have done this talk probably for the last 20 years. And I think the title page kind of sums it up, you know, like falls. Just don't do it, right? If we had our choice, we wouldn't do it. So how big of a problem is falls? You know, it's bigger than we know. 1 out of 3 adult.
Would you able to start your video for people on Zoom?
I'm sorry?
Would you be able to start your video for the people on Zoom?
Is that what keeps popping up?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So how big of a problem is it? 1 out of 3 older adults, that's 65 or older, have falls each year, but less than half talk to their healthcare providers about it. So, you know what, it's kind of shaming, you know, if you fall, you're not hurt, you don't really want to talk to your doctor about it. Maybe you don't even want to talk to your family about it. But it's a good thing to report, because if there's an increase in your falls, there's going to be an increase in your injuries. So we know it's typically, if you're 65 or older, it's usually not just one fall. There's going to be more coming down the pike. So among older adults, falls are the leading cause of both fatal and non-fatal injuries. And that's kind of scary, you know, when you think about it. Who in here has fallen?
In what time period?
In the last 3 years?
I tripped, yeah. 4 years.
Well, trip. Are you catching yourself before you fall? I think fall means connecting with the ground. That's the way I take it.
About falling from a roof.
Yeah, that's falling 5.0.
Reason why I mentioned that is because the ladder slipped out. I was doing it solo. I never do anything with a ladder solo ever again after this period. And I landed on the ladder and put a dent in it. I didn't get a concussion, because when I went in the ED, I was like, "You're fall number 5 today." And most He said two of them ended up with subdural hematomas and
my God.
concussions. Mine, no breaks, no kidney injuries. I landed almost square on my back.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
And I could get up and walk away from it with no head damage and no broken bone.
You probably sore like a Mack truck
Yeah,
hit
I
you.
was. I felt like I got hit by a car for at least a couple of weeks.
You are so lucky.
Yeah, I know. My wife said, that's not gonna happen again, because you're not going up on a ladder unless I'm watching. I go, okay, no, I don't need it.
Enforce the rules.
What?
Wives enforce the rules.
Wives are the smart ones that enforce the rules. Yes, that's so true.
And
But
this,
Isn't that scary? Because you're seeing someone fall. It's not like you can.
Well, if you're
Evan,
someone can help in that way or hold the ladder to prevent it or
Call 911.
call someone available to call 911. Ugh, yeah. So how big of a problem is this? So in 2013, 2.5 million non-fatal falls among older adults were treated in the emergency rooms. And more than 734,000 of these patients were hospitalized. That's a lot. In 2012, the direct medical cost of falls, adjusted for inflation, was about 30 billion. So it's definitely a cost to our healthcare system when we get injured and we're hospitalized. I can't help but think about it on a personal level because that's like the last thing you want to do. And as we get older, it hurts more when we fall, right? Because I can remember falling off my bike on a gravel road and brushing the stones out of my knees and getting up and going. But I tell you, the older you get, the harder you fall, the longer it takes to kind of recover. So what outcomes are linked to falls? So 20 to 30% of people who fall suffer moderate to severe injuries such as lacerations or cuts, hip fractures, or head traumas, just like Rob said. Falls are most common cause of traumatic brain injuries, which is terrible. In 2000, 46% of fatal falls among older adults were due to traumatic brain injury. Is everyone familiar with what traumatic brain injury is? Yeah, something you don't want. What outcomes are linked to falls? So most fractures among older adults are caused by falls. The most common are fractures to the spine, hip, forearm, leg, ankle, pelvis, upper arm, and hand. So a lot of those are how you're bracing yourself, right? And then the others are, you know, your spine would be a really bad thing. And the hip is like a very common fracture. So many people develop a fear of falling. This fear may cause them to limit their activities, which leads to reduced mobility and the loss of physical fitness. So in turn, it increases their actual risk of falling. So there is the cycle, the bad cycle that we don't want to get into. So how can we prevent falls? So any ideas? I think I'm kind of singing to the choir the fact that you guys are in this program because of all the things Linda provides for you guys that actually does prevent falling. But can you say them out loud? What am I talking about?
Balance.
Balance, the Tai Chi that David does. What else were you gonna?
I analyzed the first 4 falls that I made in that I was not lifting up my foot enough. Especially because I had injured a left foot years before and it just didn't have the same. So I was catching my toe on every
Yep.
level. But then eventually, and I never mentioned that to a doctor because I have very strong bones and I have a spine. And then I tripped over a big thing in the dark. That was a totally different cause. And I did break my wrist.
Ugh,
So
As you brace, that was a brace.
Yeah, and I feel like.
Oh,
I also bashed my head really hard, and when I heard the bone break, I thought it was my nose.
oh my gosh.
But it's just that, you know, tripping over things in the dark, because when you live in your own home for years, you know everything. You
Yeah.
don't have the lights on, you think.
You think,
But I put something that I didn't usually put there.
yep, that's all it took. And so you said that you really assessed your falls or near falls and you knew that it was from not really picking up your feet. So do you make a conscious decision? Do you consciously think about walking?
Yes, I analyzed a lot of things in house, and, because I don't wanna fall again.
Right.
You know,
Right.
people on Zoom can't hear her, so if you could. repeat.
Oh, okay. What's your name?
Oh, my name's Diane.
Diane was just saying that she analyzed each time that she fell,
Yeah.
and noticed that she wasn't really picking up her feet. So she's very conscientious about the way she walks. And one time that she really did get injured with a fall was related to tripping over something in the dark that she hadn't put away and end up breaking her wrist. So, you know, falls are falls and they're not that big of a deal until they take away your health. And then they're everything, right? You can't take your health for granted. So how can we prevent falls? So what you do in here, you guys are exercising, right? You're developing muscle, you're developing balance. What else?
Your eyesight and what environment you're in, with less and less light, likelihood of tripping over something, especially if you're on uneven ground, increases.
Yep.
So it's just, what do you call it? Environmental awareness. And you're walking and you see uneven ground, pay attention to it. And the reason why I bring this up is because I had my hip replaced in May, right hip. And so as I was walking, I paid very close attention to the surface I was walking on. And of course, assistive devices too that I would use to prevent falls after a surgery. I already knew situational environmental awareness is likely to play a part in whether you stay upright or whether you have needs.
So Rob just brought up a really good point that just being really aware of your environment, which most of us probably kind of take it for granted or complacent with it, but he just went through a hip replacement. So he's basically on high alert when he sees uneven ground and knowing that he's going to have to really navigate that in a very mindful way to not fall or re-injure his hip, cause a bigger problem. Because do we really think about our environment that we're walking in?
Mhm.
You do?
In Midtown, you gotta watch not only the cracks in the sidewalk, but what the dogs leave behind.
Oh, I think of old Sacramento. Do they still have the cobblestone?
Mhm.
Ugh.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say another watch out, I think, is when we awaken from our sleep
Yeah.
and getting out of bed. I have two friends that just became a little disoriented when they got up in the middle of the night, actually, and moved too quickly, became a little dizzy and fell, and one of them is her leg is in terrible condition.
What's your name?
Judy.
Judy? Yeah, Judy just said something very, very common and probably affects a lot of people in here. If you're taking medications for your blood pressure, she mentioned a couple friends that woke up in the middle of the night, maybe a little disoriented, or maybe just getting up quickly and maybe a little dizziness, but then fell. And one was pretty seriously injured. So that's another thing. If you're taking medications that can cause some of that dizziness, you have to be very careful from going from a lying position slowly to a sitting position, then slowly standing and not moving until your feet are really planted and your head is clear. Good point. So exercising, oh, the other thing I wanted to say, so in the gym, you guys are doing, you're developing muscle tone, right? You're developing better balance, but there's one other thing that is probably helping you as well. Can you think of that? What it would be? Being more alert, just with this, socialization, I think that's good, yes.
After I fell in the dark, my son went and got me a really good nightlight.
Oh, I love that.
It's a really good one. It's a big one. And, if I can place it in my condo, it's a small condo, so I can place it where I've learned to sleep without total black.
Yeah, yeah.
But it makes all the difference in the world.
Yes.
Have a regular movement in the kitchen.
Yep. Having night lights is a really good idea. I'm thinking of when you guys are exercising, you are helping your bones, right? By the time we're at our age, most of our bone mass is, we got to be careful of not losing any more bone mass, right? And so this type of exercise is really good as well. Less likely chance of breaking a bone. So exercise. So how can we prevent falls? So exercising regularly. It's important that exercise focuses on increasing leg strength and improving balance. Check, check. And that you get more challenging over time. Can we check that one off? Are you guys challenging yourself when you exercise? Okay, check. Tai Chi, check. Programs are especially good. So ask their doctor or pharmacist to review medications for exactly what Judy was saying. Even prescriptions or over the counter to identify medications that could cause side effects or interactions that may give you drowsiness or dizziness, that kind of stuff. Important stuff here. Have your eyes checked. If you can't see, that's going to be a higher risk for you. Have them checked at least once a year and update your eyeglasses to maximize your vision. And consider getting a pair with single vision distance lenses for some activities, such as walking outside. And then making your home safer by reducing tripping hazards. So adding grab bars for your tubs or showers next to the toilet, hand railings on both sides of your staircase, and improved lighting. These are common sense things, but when you really think about your house, you almost have to look at your house with new eyes because you've lived there for many years and you just don't think about it. So maybe having one of your kids or your neighbor come in and kind of look at your house and see if they can identify any possible tripping or falling hazards.
When you say single vision, here or whatever, does that mean besides bifocals
Yes,
get you there?
yes.
The notion being that the bifocals you wouldn't see stuff below.
Yeah,
because you don't have your head in the
That's why I take the elevator. Going up, I'm okay, but going down, yeah.
Yeah, good question.
In my shower, I have a chair.
Love that. Yes. Yeah. You know what? We did that for my mom as well when she was getting older. Just because of that tripping hazard, it was a walk-in shower, but we gave her a chair and then a handheld shower. Instead of a shower head, she had a handheld shower wand. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? And that was key. That was really key. To lower hip fracture risk, and older adults can. Rob, did you want to take this?
Well, I have osteopenia, which is a mild form of osteoporosis, and it was done by DEXA scan. And that was before I had my surgery, and I identified it. So immediately, the doc said simply get on calcium, vitamin D3, and so I did. And that's a daily routine.
Yeah.
But yeah, bone strengthening, or rather preserving what you have. And not letting it get worse.
Yeah. So Rob was saying, because he had weak bones, and so eventually to the point where he had to get his hip replaced. But now it's a matter of getting adequate calcium and vitamin D, maybe supplements, doing weight-bearing exercise to maintain the bone density that you have. And then get screened, see if you do have osteoporosis, which I think, is that yearly
Mhm.
that you guys get screened? So a checklist for hazards in each room. So that picture just cracks me up because
You know who owns it?
at times that could have been my room. Yeah. So a clear path to walk through a room. But the more things that are on the floor, the more apt you're to trip over it. Remove rugs or anchor them so they don't slip. I'd say remove them. Just get rid of your rugs. I remember in my mom's house, there's a long hall that's carpeted and then it kind of comes to a T. And so at that T, there was a hole. And so she wanted something to cover it. And it's like, who cares that there's a hole? Get new carpet, but don't put a rug over it. Someone's going to trip. You, mother, you're going to trip over it. So I would get rid of it. And the next time I would come to visit, there'd be a new rug there. So keep objects off the floor. Coil or tape wires or cords, like don't have them across the path. And stairs and steps inside and out. So clear any objects on your stairs. Don't pile up your laundry.
If the body's off.
Yeah, get the bodies off, clear the bodies away. Fix uneven or broken steps. Yeah, what's your name? Rico? Talked about pets and how you can trip over your pets. And I have to say, that is something I always kind of think about. We just lost our kitty, which made me sad, but I was always afraid of tripping over the cat. Yep. Overhead light and switch at top and bottom of the stairs, not just at the top. Fix loose carpet on the stairs. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Fix loose or broken handrails on both sides of the stairs. Really important. So how about your kitchen? So place frequently used things. Wait a minute. Place frequently used things off the top shelf, right? Which, I mean, that's kind of common sense because I cannot reach my top shelf. So things I rarely use are up there. But use only steady step stools that have a bar to hold. So that's what I did not use when I was hanging my Halloween decorations. And I wasn't on even pavement and I lost my balance. And so that's exactly how I fell. So when I asked my husband to hang it, we got the step stool out that has the handle and he did all the things that you're supposed to do and he did not fall. So there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way. So don't do what Cari does.
You could have pushed them.
I could have pushed them. Yeah. So bathrooms, this is tricky. Because if you have tile and it gets wet, that's super, super slippery, right? So non-slip rubber mats on the floor or in the shower or the tub is a really good thing. And then those support bars, I think that those are super handy, like even to help you get up and off the toilet. And in your bedroom, placing lamps close to the bed where it's easy to reach, or night lights so you can see where you're walking. Other things to do to prevent a fall. So exercising, seeing your doctor to review the medications for dizziness or drowsiness, vision checks, getting up slowly from a sitting or lying position, wear shoes inside and out, avoid barefoot or slippers. Slippers seem like they're so cozy and comfy, but if they're not a good fit, they're a tripping hazard. Improve lighting in your house, consider fluorescence. Paint a contrasting color on the top edge of all steps for better visual. So I have to say, I have a step down into my living room and it's all wood. It's all the same color wood. And so it's tricky. I know that there's steps there, but it's hard to see. It's hard to visualize the first step then to the ground floor. I know in my in-laws' house, they have the same thing. And they actually have put orange tape because they've had company over that have fallen into their living room. So a little bit of tape is eye-catching, and it will trigger your mind to say, oh yeah, okay, there's a step there. Less likely to fall.
My wife used reflective tape because we had 3 steps going down into the garage. And the reflective tape, just in the right spot, she placed it down there, easy to spot the step.
Yes. So was it on the top of the step?
Yeah,
Yep, on the edge.
yes, and it was easy, oh, there we go, yellow.
Yeah.
Reflective, very bright.
Yes. Reflect. So Rob was saying his wife used reflective tape on his steps into the garage.
No fault.
So thank you for not falling. Does anyone have any questions? Because we've got some entertainment now. Yeah, I will.
I would like to get bars, like one in the shower.
Yes.
And, but I don't know who would call for something like that.
You know, that came up in my general class just last week. So there's companies that do that, and I can give you the.
They will like drill through tile and stuff like,
No, they specialize in coming into people's homes, and
like assessing.
they have an OT that comes out with them, and they figure out what they need, and,
I like that.
yeah, you need to talk to them.
I love that.
I've noticed, you know, when you're a baby, as you learn things, it becomes automatic. You don't even think about
Right.
the little things in the road, because your brain automatically, you don't even think about it. But as I've gotten older, I'm losing that automatic awareness.
Yeah.
And so
It's-
I have to scan a room, and even in my own home, because it's not gonna get better.
Right. I think you just said something out loud that we all do. I know that I do it because it's hard. It's like getting hard for me to get in and out of my bathtub. I love to take baths, but you know, I'm very, very conscientious about it. I mean, 10 years ago, I was just popping in and out, popping in and out. But now it's like, I don't want to slip. I don't want to fall. It kind of hurts my hips to get into the tub. So yeah, just being like more conscientious, being on high alert of your environment and looking through a different lens at where you're going and being on high alert for falls. So I wanted to show one video, which I came upon. It was kind of cool. Sorry. There's this study in Chicago that is training people. Yes, this one to prevent a fall. But this is such a cool concept. This?
Not just our eyesight and hearing that start to fade as we get older. Millions of seniors also lose their balance. In fact, falling.
It's not showing here,
It's showing up the room,
but not up here. And plus it probably needs to be louder. If we can't get it, I can just tell them.
There we go.
Okay, but volume 2.
Is the #1 cause of injuries among the elderly. But as Adriana Diaz shows us, researchers in Chicago have a high-tech approach to an age-old problem.
And we lost our volume.
The hundreds of senior citizens coming to Dr. Clive Pye's lab at the University of Illinois Chicago to learn how to fall with lots of help. The seniors who fall here are less likely to slip in the real world. This is Mary when she first came 4 years ago. This is her now. She's learned to stop herself from falling.
They will be walking and not feeling anything different. And then the next time they are walking, all of a sudden, it's like they intentionally step on a banana peel.
Seniors reported falling half as often after just 2 hours of simulated falling. The results lasted a year, according to Dr. Pai's study published in June. The learning happens subconsciously. Though cognitive memory tends to diminish in the elderly, Dr. Pai found that his subjects' muscle memory is sharp. Their bodies learn how to correct for a fall after a few controlled stumbles.
It's almost like they learn the dance moves. They know the footwork after they made a mistake.
His findings could have a big impact. Falling is the leading cause of both fatal and non-fatal injuries among the elderly, costing the healthcare system $30 billion a year. 1 in 3 adults 65 and older takes a spill at least once a year.
It's an awful thing to happen to you. And it happens to a lot of us. I mean, we are a falling generation, I guess.
You can see this right foot, instead of swing through, she actually stayed in the back. She lifted up, but she put it down because that is what is needed to overcome the backward falling.
Dr. Pai invited me to try, but increased the settings to the highest level. The first fall was ugly, but the second wasn't as bad. Dr. Pai hopes that same muscle memory learning can one day be taught to seniors around the world so they can move forward with confidence. Adriana Diaz, CBS News, Chicago.
I'd love to see that on uneven ground and stairs. Because straight, if we're talking about a straight horizontal surface, okay, boy, we don't walk on horizontal
Right.
surfaces. We walk on inclines a lot. Stairs, maybe uneven ground.
Yeah,
So, but that, I think that's awesome.
I think the principle itself could extend to that part. Rob was saying that these people are just walking on a treadmill, and you can see that the treadmill kind of stops and shifts and is
Yes.
tricky to walk on. But Rob was saying, and I think that this is something easily attainable, to walk on uneven surfaces or upstairs or downstairs with the same capability. You're not going to really fall, but if there's a stumble, like, you know what to do.
You know, downstairs in the PT clinic, they have this track in the ceiling. That is just a track in the
Yeah.
ceiling with a cable coming down from it. They could do that, where basically they could strap somebody in and they can walk around the room tethered to the ceiling, basically.
Yes,
So they could add some, I don't know if they've ever thought of that or not. I want to ask for along to that.
I love that.
Have you guys seen that? Those of you that have been in the PT clinic and I'm talking about, ask about that. If you're up for that.
That's an excellent idea, Linda. They have like a lift treadmill thing down there. I think they need to do this kind of thing.
Have you seen the track that they have in the ceiling?
I don't know about that track, but I've been on a lift treadmill before, and I think they have it downstairs. I'm not sure where they can lighten the load. Yeah, so they could do it a number of ways, but that'd be great.
Can they see this one? Okay.
You know, can I ask you one more question? Or make a remark, I guess. Would carrying objects change somebody's balance? I mean, we're talking about balance, yes. But I'm thinking, because we don't all walk around with absolutely nothing in our arms or on our backs.
Good point. So it changes your center of gravity if you're
Yes.
carrying something.
And I'm just wondering. You know, what-
That might be some things, Linda, you could incorporate here. Rob was
Yeah, I've already done that.
saying, what about carrying objects? Is that going to make you a little bit more off kilter? And
Yes.
if you're carrying something, it does change your center of gravity. And I said, Linda, you should incorporate it. And of course she already has.
Make sure you're aware of your balance.
If you're
Yes.
carrying something. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
True.
So this is another quick video on practicing falling. So Linda, you're off the hook unless you want to do this.
That's up to you.
No, it's up to you because you're the one doing all that.
I'm Pat.
Heavy
I'm
lifting
Director
here.
of Rehabilitative and Exercise Therapies here at the Power Gym. I'm also a Power Moves therapist, and my goal today with our Power Moves of the month is to really work on how to practice falling. So our goal is to practice falling in a really safe way so that we can then prevent actual falls and injury if falling in the future. So we're going to start with a chair. Usually when we fall, we want to aim to avoid really tight bony areas like the side of the hip and the side of the shoulder. We want to get as many meaty parts down on the ground as possible to absorb that fall. And one of the goals is to avoid stopping the fall completely, because sometimes we get more injured by doing that. So what I like to start with when people are nervous about falling is grabbing the chair and practice going down with the side twists and just getting down from here. And then we get to practice getting back up again from hands and knees. Come back up on the chair, step, and power up. Then once people feel comfortable with that, what I like to do is take a step stool, and we practice the same thing with the idea that if I fall, I don't want to have outstretched arms, because that can often lead to injury up the arm. So I want to aim for landing on my side. So I have the person grab, twist, and land, and then come back up from here. We can rock back, use our power step to come back up again, all the way up. And then once that becomes more familiar, then what we can do is actually practice in slow motion again on a soft surface, like maybe even the bed if somebody is uncomfortable, but on the floor, on a mat, we can practice getting down into our squat position. We roll, come back up, practicing going on hands and knees, and from here, standing completely. Once that is more comfortable, then you can do it a lot faster. So we could go from this position and we can practice actively going down, rolling back up, and then powering up from here. And so using our power moves, we can really work on safe falls and how to get back up right again.
Okay, I think the one thing that was kind of important with that is how many of you can get up off the floor like she did. That is the key thing to this whole thing, is practicing falling, practicing getting up. So when you need it, you know how to do it. And I suspect that's what you're doing as well, that you practice, you have people getting down on the ground and having them get up again.
Now they won't do that. But
Because they refuse to?
you don't try. But
Oh.
So that lady, I think she did well, because basically she just fell, right?
Okay, she's been doing this every year with this lecture for 20 times, and I still about pooped my pants. I wasn't quite expecting that.
The thing I want to share that, because it super matters, and she did it, but she didn't talk about it. And the part that's hard when you're falling is you don't have time to think about what's going on, right? Because you can't do like Cari did, analyzing where the chair is and where she's going to land on, etc. You're falling and you're panicking, and which is why you hurt yourself, because you react and you stick your arm out and you end up breaking your wrist, right? So my biggest encouragement, if you're going to fall, if you think you're going to fall, the thing to think about is getting small. Okay, so if you start to trip, you know you're going to fall. Your gut reaction would be to get small, which is what she was doing. She was getting down, she was curling into herself, so she could be prepared to roll into the fall, right? So if you get small, you just think about that. I got to get small. I'm gonna fall, I got to get small, so you can land right on the bigger parts of your body.
Will you also show them, because you can get up off the floor,
Right, yeah.
but if you can't,
Yeah. You gonna say something?
Did you land on your side? You did.
Yes, I landed on my shoulder.
So is this a good place to land?
Well, you want to land on the beefy parts of your body, right? Which is why, if you stretch with me, we do a lot of stuff that relates to this movement here. So you're going to be better at getting small if you have good ability to rotate into your you fall. Okay, so getting up,
This is key.
Judy's got this down really well anymore, right?
So it really depends on how you land, right? So if you're on your back, you have to basically, however you land, and hopefully you landed kind of on, like I said, the beefy parts of your body, but you want to get to a seated position somehow.
I can't see her because that's still up.
So you want to get to a seated position. So if you're on your back, you're gonna roll over to your side. If you're on your stomach, again, you're gonna roll over to your side. You want to roll to your side, so you can, just like you get out of bed in the morning, be on your side, put your upper arm in front of you so you can push yourself up and get to a seated position, right? So if you're in a seated position, you're way better and able to move wherever you need to be in your space, whether it's on the sidewalk in front of your house or in your bedroom. And that woman used a chair. That's a great thing, is to basically get your body somewhere to something that can help you get up. And you might have to crawl over to it. And you could, however you want to do it, you could walk on your hips maybe.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to show them. Forwards or backwards.
So doing a little butt walk here and there is not a bad exercise. But if you can't do that, maybe you could roll over and literally crawl to something. It's just like that woman did in the video. You want to get supported, get your legs under you one at a time, so you can push yourself up. So that's a good thing to practice, is the getting up part.
Did you get any of that of her falling on video?
So.
Okay. I would hate to ask to do it one more time. That makes so much sense. And making a conscious effort of literally being on the ground and getting yourself up is going to just increase your independence. You're being independent. And that's what we want, right? So we don't want to have to call 911 to get us up and off the floor. And so the more strategies Linda's able to give you, developing more and more of your muscles, and just even ideas of getting to a chair to help yourself up, but practicing these as well. I mean, we can know them cognitively, but remember, it was that muscle memory that never goes away. Everything else is declining as we age, but not our muscle memory. So I think that's something we need to really kind of capitalize on and use it to our advantage.
And actually Thursday, our talk is just on the fitness related to
Falling? Who's doing that?
I am.
Oh. So Thursday, come watch Linda fall again. If you missed it the first time.
So when you just do a quick evaluation, and then I know sometimes either myself or other people around me, they bump it, then you get up so quickly you can, quickly, but then because you're so embarrassed, you don't check yourself.
That's a good point.
You know, even though like it hurts, but you know, oh, I'm okay, but maybe, well, maybe as you get older, some of that goes away, but.
Yes. Tell me your name.
Paul.
Paul was saying, you know, how sometimes you just get up so quickly because you're kind of embarrassed if you fall, and you should probably just take a moment and kind of do a self-assessment. You know, did I hurt myself? In fact, that's exactly what happened to me. I was walking with my neighbors, and those big, I don't, they're off some type of tree, those big bally seeds, and I rolled right on one, and I fell onto my knees, and I braced myself. I did everything you're not supposed to do. And, you know, I got up quickly and I brushed everything off, and, you know, my friends are saying, oh my gosh, your knees are bleeding. And it's like, my knees are fine, you know, and I was able to walk home. I broke my finger. I didn't even know it after all the adrenaline and after everything was done and I was fine and I was home. It's like, ooh, my finger hurts. And, you know, sure enough, I broke my finger in that
Just
fall.
before or after the Halloween decorations?
Halloween decorations was just a couple days ago. So this was probably a year or so ago. Yeah. So
Hey, you're on the list, aren't you?
yeah, I'm on the list. Does anyone have any questions or any stories that they want to tell? I may reiterate it so people at home can hear them, or anyone on the Zoom want to share a story about falling? Yeah.
Especially if you are using or you're taking blood thinner. It's very important that if you fall, whether you hurt yourself or not, it's always good to have yourself checked. If you're using blood thinners,
Yes, tell me your name.
Vicky,
Vicky. If you're on blood thinners, she brought up such an important point that if you fall, you really do need to get checked out, because if you fall and hit your head, there's a really high chance of having bleeding in your brain, which can kill you. Yes. Or you could have internal bleeding.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're on a blood thinner, falling isn't just falling, it could actually be an ER visit, just to make sure there aren't any internal injuries. Very good point. That should be added. Any part you could have internal bleeding anywhere. Yeah. Good point. That should be added to this. It's a very important point.
because we have a lot of cases where like, I remember somebody, she was actually an actress, and she hit herself, and then it took, I think, days. They found out that she was having bleeding, and she died.
I know who you're talking about. The lady was skiing.
Yeah,
It's Liam.
the wife of the
Yes. I'm sorry?
Yeah, the wife.
Yes, that's who it was. Sorry. That's exactly who it was. Yeah. That was tragic. 'Cause she was young.
Very young.
Yeah.
And even there was also another actor, I think. Bob Saget, that's the same thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Bob Saget also probably had some type of head injury and then died in.
No, because I just started to take Eliquis, which is a blood thinner. When I fell, I actually was sitting on a chair, and it wasn't able, I mean, the chair wasn't able to take my weight. So when I fell down, and I didn't tell my son, but then my son saw that, what happened to the chair, Mom? Did you fall? And then I did tell him, I said, I don't think so. Oh, yes, you did.
It was on to you.
Yeah, so he took me to the emergency right away, and believe me, they hooked you up right away because I was taking Eliquis.
Smart move.
So,
Yep. Any falls going to the ER just to get checked out.
yes.
Did you have a question in the back?
Yeah, because even if you fall and you don't hit your head and you're on blood thinners, you can get you can bleed in maybe the legs of your arm.
Yeah.
100%.
And travel
Ah,
over time.
100%. Doesn't have to be just your head, legs or arms, right? You guys brought up really good points. I really like that. What?
It doesn't even have to hurt you.
Doesn't even have to hurt.
Good
Yeah.
cheers.
Good shoes. Yep. Good shoes that fit,
Yeah.
That have traction.
that have good traction.
I haven't fallen, but I was scared.
Yes. Pick up your feet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is everyone familiar with, I call them little rumble strips? You see them all over the place in campus, in the stores. And you walk over those, because I tripped over one of those rumble strips that those who are visually impaired use. Times. Those strips are yellow.
I-
Usually yellow.
With the bubbles?
Bumps.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Bubbles on them. I fell on one of them downstairs, knocked the wind out of me. Luckily, a student came by and helped to, diminish my embarrassment, because I also had something in my hand that was drinking in that field. But there was another colleague of mine in the nursing department who fell on a set of strips over on campus and broke 3 ribs.
So what is the point of these strips?
Yeah, what is the point of those strips? Rob was talking about the yellow strips that are,
Yes.
Like,
they're at
yes.
crosswalks too.
yeah, the
You know,
crosswalks,
I
the,
see them all the time because I'm in UC Davis. They're at crosswalks going across the street.
Maybe that's a reflector?
There's a point to them. You
Yeah,
can
there must be a
tell
point. What's your blank?
If they're parallel dots, they're one thing. If they're diagonal, they're another.
I have no idea.
No, they put them,
Are they to prevent falling? or they
They're-
make you fall.
Is there awareness?
Yes, that John's right. And that usually people who
It's
know,
nuts.
they're using a stick or a rod as they're walking across, they're hearing the beeps, whatever, and they get to that point and here we go. I'm entering the crosswalk or I'm entering the area where there's an entrance to the building. But yeah, walking over them isn't always so easy.
So Ivan just brought this up. Those strips of bumps that shake your cart as you leave a store are there to tell blind people
Yes.
they're walking into an area with vehicle traffic.
Exactly.
But you know what? They're so high, I could see where they could be a tripping hazard.
Yeah.
I will notice when I leave the building.
One thing you need to add, by the way.
Yes.
is B12. Debbie brings that up, especially for plant-based eaters.
I think it was with the vitamin D in B12.
It wasn't on that slide.
Oh, was it? Okay, then definitely.
But so sometimes if people, older adults fall more frequently, it's because they're B12 deficient. Because that contributes to neural pathways and et cetera. So if you're falling a lot, you can get your B12 checked and maybe take supplements. And actually there's some notes in that when you're older, you should take B12 no matter what. That you should be not
Put it in my note.
Be like Bob. Be like Bob.
Right.
I know I'm late again, I apologize, but, is it, what part of the brain is direct, control of the balance? Is it the cerebellum?
Oh, I don't know.
Have they ever figured that out?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Cerebellum plays a big part.
Your inner ear does. Too.
What? Oh, your
Yeah,
inner ear.
I'm
Good.
just wondering if, as we get older, well, in the beginning, we're fine and dandy. We're learning our way and then we get into adolescence, all that good stuff. But now, and we're on the opposite side of the mountain. I'm just wondering as, people, and I do see it all the time, because where I worked before, felt probably 100 of them, where people have tripped up on simple things.
Yeah.
Or even amongst themselves. And I'm just wondering what, have they ever figured out what part of the brain helps control the balance?
Well, I think John said something really important. Is it Tony?
Anthony.
Anthony.
Oh,
I remember. We go way back.
Yeah.
Was bringing up what part of the brain actually helps with balance. And John just said something, it's your inner ear as well. I'd have to look it up to see exactly what part of the brain.
Temporal lobe.
Temporal lobe?
Yeah, that's where, well, this is the center of hearing and picking up noises. And it's right in front of the temporal lobe.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
That
and
makes sense.
I know when people, I know their variances when people suffer strokes.
Yeah.
And depending on how the severity is of the stroke, but it always, their cognizance and their sense of balance, including my mom when it happened to her. That was one tough cookie of a woman, and she could walk a straight line, to the end of the earth. But when she stroked, it was a miracle for her to, keep trying to keep her balance and hold on. So I know it all plays. It's probably not one specific area or thing, but I was just wondering what plays, I guess, the motor from the actual, bulk of the balance.
That's a big role in balance.
I think Linda's approach, and of course, because Linda's our exercise physiologist, so she's going to know, is really focusing on, the things that we can change. We may not be able to change a whole lot organically what happens with our brains, can to some degree, but what we can do with our muscles and with our muscle memory and with learning balance and reorienting our balance, and that's what it's about. I think that can be the focus, and that can create a lot of prevention and less hospital visits, less
It's like
trauma.
you don't want to fall down, you really don't want to have a stroke.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
take to prevent that too.
So any other questions? Otherwise, I actually have to go back to work.
No, thank you.
My other job, because this is work, let me tell you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone who joined on Zoom.
Thank you.
Sorry.